What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, we are going to be doing a life update Q&A, and these are some of my favorite videos to film. My most favorite is prison recipes, but I love filming these kinds of videos for you guys. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jess. I'm a person in long-term recovery who has in fact been to prison. If you want to follow me on any other platform, TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, that's $2. It's only ever going to be $2, minus an additional tier that we're adding for a reality TV show. It's optional. The $2 tier will forever stay the same. All of that is linked down below, as well as my vlog channel, my podcast, Facebook, all of the things. All right, without further ado, let's kick this thing off. I absolutely hate that I don't have my nails. I've been doing my nails myself for like a year. I will link them down below if you're interested. I get all the stuff from Amazon and I do my nails myself, and I don't have them today. I like ripped them all off yesterday. So I asked you guys on the community tab here on YouTube what questions you had for me because I wanted to do a Q&A. So I'm just gonna go down the list of like what I see first. I never know if you want me to say your guys' names or not, so like I'm not gonna do that. But this person said, how do you balance your life as a parent, a partner in a newer relationship, dealing with a messy divorce, working as a content creator, and upkeep as a homeowner? It seems like you must have a full day with even a handful of those obligations, never mind all of them. How do you manage and keep on top of things? I struggle with this myself. Yeah, it's a lot. There's so much, you know. Burner and I recently started doing the whole deep clean on a Sunday thing, you know, like the Sunday reset. We are newly starting that because it just gets so out of hand so fast with 3 kids and dogs and a cat, and you know, it's a lot and it can be very overwhelming and stressful. I am not the best at it. I'm not even gonna try to lie to you. The laundry will never be done completely in this house, ever. It just always seems like there's not enough time in the day. I will say that I'm not balancing it as seamlessly as I used to. Like I used to be like clockwork, waking up at 5 or between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. somewhere in there, I would wake up. Like sleeping in till 7 was like sleeping in. Like that felt like noon to me. And I would work before the kids woke up, and then I would, you know, get them ready for school and everything, and then I would work all day while they were in school. It's summer break, and we have 3 kids now. Burner has custody of his daughter, so it is very, very hard to keep up. It's very hard to film videos and have it be this quiet so I can film a YouTube video. But Burner helps out a lot. So I don't know about the whole balancing thing. I try to have dedicated days for like, okay, this day is deep cleaning day, this day is laundry day. That way it doesn't get too overwhelming. Like, okay, we're gonna do this room today or whatever. I'm gonna film this tomorrow. As someone with ADHD that cannot like keep a calendar or any of that, and I'm always late for everything and whatever, it's a struggle. Just don't beat yourself up because, and I have to take this advice myself, that won't matter in 5 years. That laundry is not gonna matter in 5 years. Your kids are not gonna remember if the laundry was always done. They're gonna remember if you were like chill and fun to be around and, you know, spending time with them and making memories with them. So fuck that laundry. What parenting style are you? Also, what about Burner's parenting style? What are your positive parenting techniques and what do you fall short on? Our parenting style is gentle parenting. I've talked about that a lot. And gentle parenting does not look like not disciplining your kids or whatever. I try not to yell, but gentle parenting is more about like teaching them how to calm down, teaching them, you know, the techniques for self-regulation and teaching them emotional intelligence. And you know, my kids are 8 and 12. Burner's daughter is 3, my bonus baby. And I'm having to like pick back up with all of like the basics with that because she's 3. So teaching her emotional intelligence and how to regulate her emotions, how to calm herself down, taking deep breaths and all of that stuff has been a challenge, but it's the same parenting style that I've always had and I've always talked about on this channel, which is gentle parenting and teaching your kids how to regulate their emotions and all of that stuff. Say one of the kids is having like a whole ass meltdown and they're really upset about something, they've had a bad day and they're just feeling like, they know that it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to be mean, and everyone has their own room. You need to go to your room and calm down because we don't want to ruin everyone else's day. Like say I'm doing something with one of the other kids and I'm trying to help them with something. I will stop and help, you know, my older kids like calm themselves down if they want me to, but they're really good about recognizing that and going to calm down. And taking a few moments to relax a little bit before we talk about whatever happened, you know, which I think is the best thing to do in any relationship. You can't work something out with somebody when you're screaming at each other. So everyone has to calm down and then we can talk about it. Our older girls know that. They're very used to that. You know, we've been doing this forever. That's something that our 3-year-old, you know, is working on, but she's getting really good at it. So yeah, parenting is just really hard. It's really hard. What makes you get up in the morning? As a recovered addict, it can be difficult to find motivation to get up or even do anything. I struggle with having no energy or motivation. I'm pre-diagnosed with depression and generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, arachnophobia, and PTSD. Okay, so that's a lot. Just for me personally, my kids, you know, they will get me out of bed because they're hungry. So for me, it's them. I'm trying really hard to implement positive thoughts, you know, like instead of like focusing on the negative or being like, oh, I'm so tired, I'm trying to like basically lie to myself, like, oh, I'm so well rested. Oh, I had a great night's sleep. Even if I didn't, because there is science that backs when you tell yourself that things are great and you slept great and you're not even tired at all, chemically your brain changes with positive thoughts. So I'm trying so hard to do that, but it's like really hard because the first thing I want to do in the morning is just get my coffee and complain. I'm tired, don't talk to me, the lights are loud, you know, like please let me get my coffee before I do anything. So I try to wake up before everyone else. So I have my, 20 minutes to 30 minutes a day, just me, silence, coffee. I don't know if that helped you at all. I'm going to try to work out. Okay, this is kind of a long comment, but it says you took the bull by the horns, made a decision, and made it happen. From my perspective, you knew staying was way too much to maintain while starting over from the bottom. You had physical and emotional support that factored into that decision, so moving away from the mess was the answer, and I would have done the same thing. With that, is it still all good and the right decision? Things are falling into place, or do you feel like it was impulsive and maybe something that you shouldn't have done? Whew, girl. So selling my house in Chicago and moving across the world to the moon, I left Earth. I don't want anyone to know where I live. It was absolutely the right decision, and I'm so happy in our new home. This is kind of a culture shock because where we live is nothing like Chicago. We have been fishing, we have been hiking, we're gonna go camping very soon, and I love it here. Our backyard is incredible. We have a peach tree, wild strawberries, wild mint, and Burner and I planted blueberries and blackberries, and yeah, I'm really excited. Oh, he just planted pumpkins yesterday. That is like one of the biggest green flags ever. He's a gardener. Like he knows how to garden. He knows how to plant things. Like he also can bake bread. I absolutely am so glad that we moved. I hated my old house, you guys. The house that I bought in Chicago, I hated it. It just, it used to be a funeral home. So that's weird. I found that out after I moved in. And if you guys have not heard this story, oh my God. So I had been living there for, I don't even know, a month or two. Reese called me and he was like, can I come see the kids today? And I'm like, yeah, okay. Then he's like, but listen, before I come over there, how come when I type in your address, it says death of me, the death of me? And I'm like, oh my God, you're fucking high. Dude, you're not coming over here high. Like, eat a sandwich and take a nap, dude. What the hell? Weeks go by. Weeks go by. I don't pay any attention to that. I don't even think about it, It's the furthest thing from my mind, and I'm somewhere where I need directions, and I type in my address, and wouldn't you know it, the Death of Me funeral home pops up. So that was a fun call to have to make, where I was like, hey, bud. Remember that one time where I said you were a fucking crackhead because the death of me? Yeah, that was my bad. You can't be right all the time. But I hated that house, and I'm so glad that we moved, and I'm so happy that, we have all our girls, and this place is so beautiful, and I love it here. It was absolutely the right decision. We are finally kind of fully moved in, but there's some blank spaces and some things to still decorate. There's still boxes to unpack. You guys know how that goes. But yeah, I love it here, and I'm kind of mad that I didn't come here sooner. How do you think both of your past impact your current relationship? Good, bad, and indifferent? Happy or happy? I don't think our past really affects our relationship, but we're both content creators. We both have gone to prison, so we have that in common. It's just something that it doesn't really impact it like in a negative way. It's common ground. It's common ground. We both like ramen, so It's working out. What, if any, issues do you experience in your relationship now as a result of your past narcissistic abusive relationships, and how do you overcome them? It's something I deal with now. Okay, first and foremost, it's important to recognize the patterns in you. Like if you keep finding friendships that are very narcissistic and toxic, relationships that are narcissistic and toxic, there's a reason why you're drawn to those people. It's probably rooted in trauma that feels like home to you. So for me, I had to recognize that it is my fault that these people are in my life, and what is it about me that attracts people like that? And it's people pleasing. Takers always find givers, right? So I had to take a step back and recognize it is a me thing. The reason why I think these relationships are okay at first is because it feels like home, right? It feels like what I'm used to. It feels very comforting. And for someone that is ADHD, getting to know somebody, you don't see it as like love bombing or whatever, or trauma dumping on them. Like you genuinely want to know everything about them, from a good place. You want to learn, who they are. You want them to know everything about you. When you're getting to know a narcissist, they're just storing that information away to hurt you later. Like, okay, those are the relationships over there that she's kind of messed up with. These are her biggest insecurities. These are her biggest fears. We're going to play on that later. Oh, she has abandonment issues. Great. I'm really going to rev up the silent treatment when she does something I don't like. And, for someone with ADHD, you don't see it that way at first. I had to look at myself and where my toxic traits are. And I have found in therapy that people pleasing can be just as toxic as narcissistic personality disorder, because they both are feeding the ego in some way. And that was a toxic trait that I had, from the beginning of time, because I sold drugs and I would help people out, but I was helping people out with like money or drugs or whatever from a place of feeding my own ego. So yeah, I've had to do a lot of work in therapy to recognize, what my toxic traits are, what my traumas are, and how to fix those things so that I don't continuously find friendships in relationships that are narcissistic. Seeing how kind Burner is and how he wants to spend time with me, and he does like the bare minimum, and I'm like, oh my God. It shows me more and more every day how little I accepted in my last relationship. And, I was accepting way less than the bare minimum, so to have a partner that is so kind and funny and loving and wants to spend time with me and is completely open and honest with me about everything, and does the same thing that I do and loves playing with the kids and loves baking and hiking and fishing and all these really positive things, it's such a cool and different experience, In my last relationship, I used to have to beg for like a hug. It's kind of funny. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny when you look back and you see what you accepted. Like, I literally begged someone's crusty, dusty, undiagnosed son for a hug. Girl. What? Do you see a forever future with a Burner? Marriage? ? When did you know he was your person? I do see forever with a Burner. I don't want to be with anyone else. He's just... I don't know. I get so weird when I talk about him. When did I know he was my person? I knew that moving from Chicago to the moon was going to be very difficult. But I'm like, if we can get through this move without, him raising his voice to me, throwing things, swearing, acting crazy, and just being like, because moving is like the most stressful thing you could possibly do with somebody. And we made it through that move without him yelling at me, throwing things, all the things that I experienced in my past. Like, he, it sucked, it was hard, but we like laughed through it, and like he already had me before we moved, but like seeing how amazing he was during that move was like, oh my gosh. And, his motivation just to get to his baby was, just so heartwarming, because that was a very difficult situation. And he was like immediately when he found out that he needed to step up for his daughter, he did, which he always has done. He's always taken care of her, but he needed to be thousands of miles away very quickly, and he needed to take full custody. And that was just like, seeing all of that happen, and how kind and patient and loving and how supportive he is, that was like my aha moment, This question is coming from a girl that just had a baby. How do you keep your sanity with dealing with a screaming baby all day? Oh my God. First of all, Riley, my 8-year-old, she was so colicky. She cried and screamed for an entire year straight. So The one thing that I did not do that I wish that I did was ask for more help with a screaming baby. At this time, this was when her great-grandmother was still with us, and I would just take Riley over to Nan's house, and she was the only person that could calm Riley down in an instant. And she passed away right before Riley's first birthday, unfortunately. We miss her so much, but I got a lot of help from her. But I wish that I asked for more help because I felt like I was going insane. You know, take as many breaks as you possibly can, ask for as much help as you possibly can. You know, don't keep the baby in the house all the time. I made that mistake too, where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't take her anywhere. She just screams and cries all the time. Like, that's so stressful. Like, I'm gonna, you know, upset someone at a restaurant. Fuck them. No one is more stressed out than a mother with a screaming baby in a restaurant. Don't stare at her or make her feel crazy or any kind of way. But yeah, go do things. Go out of the house with the baby. Don't stay in the house the whole time. But yeah, a lot of breaks, getting help and getting out and about. No one cares in the store if the baby's crying. You need to do what you gotta do. Try not to stress over it too much. Can you give us an ADHD update? Found out about neurodivergency thanks to your videos a couple years ago and got diagnosed last month. I don't really have an update other than I am in therapy and narcissistic abuse made my ADHD a lot worse. That's how I got into the doctor in the first place because I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, something is wrong with me. I'm more scatterbrained. I can't sleep. My mood is just all up and down. You know, it just got a lot worse, you know? There's a lot to ADHD that people don't realize, and ADHD is very heavily gaslit. I was having a lot of issues with sensory. I was having a lot of issues with textures. I had a panic attack over a fucking bathrobe one time because it felt like a blanket, like I was drying off with a blanket. You know, and all of these issues got worse and worse and worse over time. So I was diagnosed at what, like 32? I'm 34 now. Maybe 31. And I didn't want to believe that diagnosis. And then I got another diagnosis, another one, because I was just like, there's no way that like I am severe ADHD. Like, didn't want to believe it at first because I didn't know a lot about ADHD. Like, I really thought it was like hyperactivity physically, but that presents itself more that way in boys than it does girls. That's why so many women are getting late diagnoses for ADHD because it doesn't look the same for men and women. But yeah, no update other than me just finding out more information about myself and working through my ADHD and my PTSD in therapy, which my PTSD has now been upgraded to CPTSD. It's like spicy PTSD. I don't know. I'm weird. Yeah, no update. I'm just still working through it. I didn't read any of these before I got in front of the camera, by the way. Are you going to try gardening at your new place? I don't know if I'm remembering, but I thought you had wanted to do it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm also gonna get one of those giant thingies that grow stuff in the house too, that apparently I can't kill. I did have like one of those mini aero gardens where I was growing just herbs, and one day, probably because I forgot to put water in it, it just like shorted out and automatically, like in a literal fucking instant, all of the herbs died immediately right in front of me. And I was like, oh fuck. In retrospect, that was my fault. Don't you think someone head to toe in tats is a red flag, especially the face? Just tells me they have no respect for themselves and in the end won't respect you. Not to be judgmental, but I'm being judgmental. Too many times you give people a chance who had a hard life and their demons always resurface. The only red flag that Burner has is on his face. It's tattooed. That man has way more green flags than red flags. I don't know if you were unaware of this, but people with tattoos can be some of the nicest people that you ever meet. I know that the placement of his tattoos, very controversial, but he is the nicest person that you will ever meet. And he's so funny. And I don't think it's a red flag that he has tattoos on his face. My last ex looks like a fucking cop. Like, he looked, you know, office job, looks like a cop. And he turned out to be the most evil, cold-hearted narcissist on the fucking planet. What's the best part and the hardest part of becoming a mom of 3 almost overnight? Oh, how much time do you have? The best part is she's the funniest, sweetest, cutest little girl. That is baby Burner for real. Like, she has his energy through and through. It's so fun seeing Riley get to take on a big sister role because it was always Micah, you know, being the big sister. So it's so cute seeing them all play together and hang out. Well, Micah doesn't hang out that much anymore because she's 12. And yeah, she just wants to be left alone. It happens fast, you guys. Like, one second they're babies and all they want to do is cuddle with you and love on you, and the next second they're like, leave me alone, I'm in my room. Oh my God, Mom, you're so cringe. Yeah, happens fast. Happens really fast. The that energy. So yeah, my favorite thing is like doing things with them, and they're so cute and they're so sweet together. The hardest part is she's 3 and she, you know, hasn't learned emotional regularity. She has temper tantrums. We are very tired. She is very strong and she's very fast. I cannot keep up with her, and neither can Burner. Like, no one can. She's very fast. So we are, you know, stretched kind of thin right now. We're very tired, but it's so worth it. She is such a blessing and she's such a great little kid. So, but we're at capacity, okay? We cannot take on another living creature unless it's a plant. And even then, I don't know. Really don't know. I'm trying with the plants. How do you not get overwhelmed with everything you've got to do in a day? Like, I sit and think about it and I just start spiraling and end up with choice paralysis with what to do in order. Oh my God, that is an ADHD thing. That is a neurodivergent thing where, like, we can't prioritize tasks in level of importance. Like, pay the water bill. It's gonna get turned off. That's gonna be a shitty day. You know, like, literally, this is a shitty day. But I'm like, I should sweep the floor first. And then guess what happens? I forget about the water bill. So yeah, that is really hard. That is really hard. Learning cognitive behavioral therapy helps a lot. You know, I have calendars, I have planners, I have alarms, I have timers, I have all that, and still some shit slips through the cracks. I try not to beat myself up over it or feel too guilty about missing a payment to something or forgetting something. As long as we don't, like, forget a kid somewhere, I think we're good. Like, wait, how many kids? We had 2 kids. No, there's 3. There's definitely 3 now, right? Where's the big one? How did you deal, or how are you dealing with hate comments and letting it affect you? Hate comments don't really irritate me anymore. It's like the smear campaign videos that are fucking ridiculous. It's been a good life lesson. It's just showed me how much work we have to do in society and all of that. It's taught me a lot of humbling lessons. You know, maybe I shouldn't have shared so much online. I did see another comment where someone asked if I would recommend being a content creator. And yeah, I would. I just would recommend not going real life. I think that's kind of one of the things that I made a mistake on, was to share so much. And then, you know, just a couple of months after I left my abuser, and then a couple months after that, I came out publicly, you know, about domestic violence. It was very hard, and it still is very hard. So I don't know if I would have gone that same direction. I definitely, you know, looking back, wouldn't have defended myself and explained myself and re-explained myself and over-explained myself. I was doing that because I was still in survival mode. You know, that was one of the most traumatic things I've ever fucking experienced, and I hadn't healed from any of that. I hadn't had time to reflect on any of that before I was talking about it. You know, my entire channel up until that point was past experiences that I've reflected on, healed from, etc. So last year I was making content in real time without processing anything, without, you know, getting my body out of survival mode. You know, some cortisol's through the roof. I'm, you know, not sleeping. I have no appetite. I was struggling with alcohol then. It was just such a fucking dark time. So, you know, I do think that some of the criticism in that was fair, but I think a lot of it was just completely unnecessary, over the top, out of fucking bounds for these people to go real life. So comments don't bother me. I like the funny hate comments. Like, someone said somewhere that Burner looks like he needs to be sprayed with Lysol. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so funny. Because usually it's like desk in detention, doodle bear, you fell asleep at a party, a kid drew on your face. Like, it's usually stuff like that. So I'm like, oh my God, that Lysol comment's so funny. If you write a comment that's hateful, but it's funny and it's something I've never heard before, I'll probably pin it. Favorite childhood movie and song that reminds you of back in the day? Oh my God, I don't know. Childhood? Like, from childhood? My Girl, probably, from my childhood. Like, I love that movie. And And Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles is my dad's song for me. Okay, 2 more and then I gotta go. It's a lot. How has it been for you and him to be in a relationship where communication is open on both sides? I don't know much about Berner's romantic past, but I know adjusting to more healthier dynamics after years of being in toxic dynamics can be a jarring experience. He's very emotionally intelligent and very self-aware, you know, and he's very patient too. But this is hard, you know, obviously we're not gonna have good days all the time. It's not sunshine and rainbows 24/7 with 3 kids and 3 dogs and a whole ass house to take care of and jobs and all this shit. Like, life is stressful. So there's gonna be moments where it's not perfect. But yeah, it's just, it's good. I didn't answer that. There are times where I'm like, you're not giving me the silent treatment. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's crazy, where I just look and I'm like, he wants to hang out with me. He wants to spend time with me. Is that a red flag? It's not, right? It's a green flag. Okay. It's weird. How tall are you and how tall is Berner? I'm 5'5" and Berner is 6'2". What's your 3 favorite things about Berner and what are his 3 favorite things about you? I don't know because he's not here. I can't ask him. My favorite things about him is he's such a good dad and he's so funny. He's so fucking hot. I just love everything about that man. I think the only thing hopefully he's not gonna watch this. The only thing I don't like about him is that he can't keep his pants up. He can't pull his pants up to save his fucking life. His pants are always like, he's got cakes. He's got a beautiful bum, which is not fair, you know? Well, like, why do men have beautiful eyelashes and beautiful asses? Like, give them to us, please. You know, it's wasted on you. Yeah, he can't pull his pants up. I hate it. How often do you and Berner go on dates without the kiddos around? Plus, what are your favorite sorts of dates? Anything involving food I'm a foodie, you know what I mean? So yeah, and we definitely don't go out enough. We need to go out more. Can you speak on the harms of victim blaming, gaslighting, and how it affects mental health? Yeah, so when you victim blame and there's a whole smear campaign, that is just another form of abuse. You know, after someone has the courage to get out of that trauma bond and out of that abusive relationship, for family members and friends to, you know, gaslight them about their experience or blame them by saying, you should have left sooner. I told you never to date him. If it was so bad, why'd you stay for so long? You know, he couldn't have been that bad, or at least he didn't hit you, or all the things that people say to survivors. That is just as traumatizing. It's hurtful. It's abusive behavior. And it's just crazy how often society, with their internal misogyny and the patriarchy, how often especially women want to cover up for abusive men. So it is really, really gross and something that I was unprepared for. And this is the last thing that I'll say about that is I was unprepared to lose a lot of stuff, you know? So be prepared if you are dealing with that situation, if you're going to leave that person and have the courage to speak about it. Be prepared to lose friends. Family members might turn their back on you. It's really hard. You might lose job opportunities. The people that know us the most, especially on his side, and his family is great. It's just, no one wants to get involved, right? I got a lot of silence, you know? But by not picking a side, you pick the abuser side. Talks of babies or marriage. Please stop asking women if they're having babies unless you plan to come to the house at 2 o'clock in the morning to feed them, unless you want to, like, I don't know, throw thousands of dollars at our feet. We're at capacity. Why do you think your subs went to less than 1 million and your views is if you only have 100,000 subs? So you see this across the board on, you know, platforms that are large. YouTube changed the way that they do things and they are giving other creators with a smaller platform a chance, which is incredible. Obviously, I don't want to see my channel not perform the way that it used to, but that's just the name of the game. Shit changes. I can't get hung up on the fact that we're below 1 million. It is what it is. YouTube does unsubscribe inactive accounts, and because I took so much time off, a lot of accounts are inactive. All I can do is just keep working hard and keep making the content that I love and the content that you guys love and not get hung up on the negatives, you know? Literally nothing happens because I have 999K and not 1 million. Nothing happens, you know? I'm still very proud of my channel and all the platforms that I have built. We did this together and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I've spoke about this a lot over the years, you know, that content creators get so hung up on the views that they get like They get super, super anxious and nervous about it. They're like, what do I do? What can I put out? What can I put out? And they're not focused on why they started their channel in the first place. It's to make the content that they love, to talk about the things that they love, and it's fun, you know? And as you get, you know, your channel grows and you get views and you get a big ass check, you tend to feel a lot of pressure. And then when people are like, oh, this video is tanking, this video tanked, that your channel's tanking, that messes with people's mental health. Stop doing that. It's just YouTube. It's not that fucking serious. You know, it's just the internet. Stop being so hard on content creators. Also stop going real life and trying to get people's kids taken away and get them fired and do all this weird shit that y'all keep doing. All right, I'm gonna end today's video here. I love you guys. Thank you for all of your questions and comments. Please hit the subscribe button because I don't know what happens. I don't know if like a team comes and they repo the YouTube plaque. I don't know. But hit the like button, that's for free. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.